All right, guys. Somebody sent this to me today. This is Anthony Padilla, which rhymes with chicken quesadilla. I don't know. Well, that's not funny. Talking to Kris Tyson. You know, so Kris, a few months back, you know, received a lot of transphobia for coming out as trans. God bless them. Her, I think that I don't know the pronouns. I'm not even kidding. You know, there's a strength, I think, to that, especially considering how much backlash they got in there. You know what I mean? I think nobody wants to be bullied. A hot take. So they got a lot of pushback, and I think that was expected considering how they were attached to MrBeast, and he's one of the most successful people in the entire world right now. And also good for him for sticking up for his friend. He didn't have to have a whole, you know, tangent and make like a 10-hour-long video why trans people are valid. He's just like, hey, that's my friend. And I think I respect that. It's her now. She's her now. Okay. So I think it's cool. I kind of like this Kris person. And to be honest with you, they're not looking too bad. I mean, let's be real here. It's not too bad, okay? You know what I mean? It's a little weird because we know the before. But, hey, you know, I mean, I'm way, you know, maybe they'll start doing accountant work. You know what I'm saying? All right, all jokes aside, let's get this started. This is a conversation.
I was so scared of saying I'm a woman and then instantly hearing, no, you're not. Because in my head, I fought with that every day.
I feel that. I feel you, doggy.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/Padilla because sometimes existing is exhausting. And if you want to watch this episode completely ad-free, no sponsors, and completely uncensored.
I think part of the reason why people are more depressed now, amongst other reasons, is because we're all a little bit too smart. Think about it. They always say ignorance is bliss. There was a guy I work with. He just had nothing going on in his noodle. This dude would just stand still for 30 minutes, stare straight. Nothing. Just turn himself off for half an hour. I wonder if he's saving like brain power for the future. You know what I mean? It's like putting your computer in rest mode. I don't get it. You know, I feel like you stress more when you're a little more intelligent because you're always thinking about everything. Like, oh, you know, some people, they kind of just gloss through life. Like, I've seen people make insane mistakes at work that I used to work, and no, they don't get fired. They just get moved, or they're like, okay. And then meanwhile, I'm stressing out about a small problem. It's nuts.
Censored. Click the join button down below.
Whoa.
Anyway, hello, Kris.
Hello, Anthony.
Just so you know, my Patreon memberships, as you can see, are displayed at the top of the screen, and they're always rotating. And I don't know if I remember if I updated them or not. So I hope I did. So I'm going to look at that after the stream or something. Make sure I get that going, because I forgot, and I'm so sorry if you're somebody who donated. But it's always there.
You have been a part of MrBeast's videos since the inception, pretty much?
Basically, I was there when he created the channel. I was his first subscriber.
Were you also his bestie?
Wow. Bestie, yeah. We grew up, we sat at the same lunch table. We were kind of the only kids who talked about like YouTube and video games.
So a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, you know, the nerds. But so we would hang out afterwards, film videos together, and
cool.
We just fell in love with doing it.
Yeah, I feel like the earliest videos you guys made really were capturing that friendship.
Yeah, it was just us just doing whatever we could think of it, because there was no rules back then. There was no like algorithm or anything.
You know, one question I hope that Anthony Padilla asks, I'm like genuinely curious, like how does she feel about seeing older videos of herself when she was still, I guess, identifying as a guy? That's just like a general trans question that I'm curious about. I feel like everybody probably has a little bit of a different perspective, but I'm just like interested. Like, how does that make you feel? How do you look at that? Is it positive? Is it negative? You know, I'm just curious.
Anything. It was just whatever you could film, put it on YouTube.
And the videos have blown up to the point where now they are consistently getting over 100 million views each.
Whoa,
and, which is just, I can't even fathom how many people that looks.
I can't either.
And you are in almost every video.
Yeah.
You kind of became Kris, the guy from MrBeast.
Exactly. It was actually, for the longest time, my Twitter bio was the guy in MrBeast videos. And then about a year and a half ago, it turned into sometimes I'm in MrBeast videos.
Oh, so the guy part was removed?
It was, yeah, that was removed a long time ago.
Like, was that anticipating?
Yeah, that was.
Wanting to detach from that identity?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So they kind of just did that. I guess Kris asked MrBeast, like, hey, would you be willing to just change it for me? Would you be willing to make two stealth assassins in the game so I get fucking they can just get destroyed?
So for me, in my head, I was like, oh, people are gonna instantly start asking questions if I did that, because like when you're trans, you think everybody knows you're trans.
Yeah, it's like when you're high.
Yeah,
Probably people already didn't even notice.
exactly like it. But so I took it out and I was like, oh no, people are gonna know. People are gonna know. Nobody ever said anything. So I was like, that was my first step, and I was like, okay, all right, let's keep going.
Yeah, I feel like about maybe 6 months to a year ago, I started
Like nowadays with all these T channels, they would have they would like, oh my god, look at this, you know.
see a change in your appearance.
Yes.
You started to look a little bit less masculine, a little bit less beardy.
Yeah.
At the exact same time, you looked like you were glowing, like you were more excited, like your
Yeah.
posture was better, like you were like excited
I was
about
happy.
life. Yeah, it was weird. I didn't realize how
Ew,
unhappy
happiness is cringe.
you looked beforehand.
Yeah, a
Looking
lot
up
of
old
people
pictures of you, I searched old pictures of you, and you could see a
There was
dramatic
smile,
shift.
but it wasn't a real smile. It was a performance smile. I mean, because like, was I sad every single day during those times? No, but like in the back of my head, it was something I constantly felt like I wasn't being true to myself.
I feel that it's probably similar to when I'm a little constipated and I'm happy that day, but it's something I feel a little bit of weight. You know what I mean? I feel a little bit of weight because my colon is waiting, or whatever it is, to shoot some poop out. You know, and then I do myself a favor. I get like maybe White Castle, and I just start blasting. You know, it's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
I wasn't being true to the people who are fans of me because I was hiding my true self from them. And the thing that was really keeping me for so long away from like who I truly am is how people would react. I was so scared of like, I'm from a small town in a conservative area.
Just a
So
small
when I was
town
younger, I was
girl.
like, this little bubble is my entire world. How will they react? Then I got a little older. I was like, maybe one day. And then I got famous and my bubble went from this small little town to hundreds of millions of people.
You've had a
That's interesting. I wonder what the relationship with that was. Because you know, some reasons that people will detransition is because they don't get the support that they need. You know, whether it's emotional or Jesus Christ, bro, this is insane, or financial support. They just won't get support, and so I wonder if that helped or hurt expanding that sphere. Because then there's also a lot of transphobic people on the internet too. Although at least nowadays I feel like it's worse because, you know, it's the only thing that conservatives have to really talk about. They have no other actual economic plan.
a lot of people speculating on your gender.
Yes.
You know, just you growing out your hair.
Yeah.
I mean, today you showed up fully
I did.
presenting
I did.
as a woman.
I did because I am a woman.
Oh shit!
She heard.
You've never said that before, right?
I've never said that publicly,
Wow.
no, but I've been
Okay.
fully like confident in that decision for over a year now.
That's cool.
My idea was to kind of play catch up with the
ABMU
internet.
super
and-
chatted $4.99.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh that conservatives care so much about this. Embarrassed smiley face. Like who cares at the end of the day?
Yeah, for real. You know what I think a big part of it is? I think most conservatives don't give a shit, to be honest with you. But mainstream conservatives and conservative politicians have nothing else to talk about. They have no positions on any policy, really. They don't really have any. There's really nothing going on in conservatives. So a lot of the big wigs, you know, your conservative commentary content creators like your Ben Shapiro's, as well as some conservative politicians, all they really have is to just say like, well, trans people scare me in some capacity, and just complain about it. And then I think some people either just don't tune in because they don't really care, or maybe like there's some conservative people. I think the average conservative person is just like, it's kind of weird. Like that's what they think. And so they don't bother speaking out against it. You know, they might think it's inflated, but they're like, whatever. And then there's some fucking crazies that like get obsessed with the narrative and go fucking berserk, you know?
the way that I discovered myself. Like you were talking about, 6, 7, 8 months ago, my hair started growing out, all this kind of things. I wasn't
get
quite
booted
sure
on, yeah.
exactly who I was yet, but I knew I was not cisgender. So I needed the freedom to be able to express
I thought you were cis.
myself and be able to figure out who I was. And so for a while, I was trying gender fluid. I was like, what is making me feel like
Yeah, I try gender fluid sometimes. It doesn't taste too bad. You know what I'm saying? It's a good fluid. It's a
I'm
yummy fluid.
gender? What is tying me to this, masculinity? And really, it was
Whoa,
after a
guys,
lot of
you're
talking
farting
with
my
a
balls.
therapist and a lot of like self reflection. I realized it was really just the societal pressure of you're Kris from MrBeast. You're the guy that starts the fires. You're the guy that builds the stuff, And like my whole life, I've enjoyed doing those things, but I've
Makes
never
sense.
really felt like
It's kind of like a fat person who gets famous being fat, and they're like, "Can I lose weight without people thinking different of me?" Like Rebel Wilson, like I'm Fat Amy. Like that's a character. You know, so I wonder if it's something similar to that.
The guy.
Yeah, and that becomes so intrinsically connected with who you are that it felt like it was shattering everything.
Exactly. And I was scared that people would think that I'm magically going to become a different person. But for me, I have no, like, I'm very proud of who I was and how I've gotten here. It took me a long time to get here.
Yeah,
But I'm finally here, so I'm not ashamed of all of that or anything. I'm actually really proud of it.
There's been a huge reaction to this. Like, people are like, their minds are blown that something like this happened.
I knew there was going to be a big reaction, but I thought it would stay like, you know, like in that YouTube, you know, everything.
It's like tabloid culture now. It's like every single thing has some kind of headline about you and what it means and the effects on Mr. Beast and all these different things.
It was crazy.
Yeah, there was a lot. I was actually kind of surprised how much support there was when that's no way I was mad. When SunnyV2 made his perspective. I thought people would shit on Kris more.
Easy. I was trying to take a break. I was like, okay, it's not affecting me too bad, but I don't need to consume all this media and attention of myself. I'll delete all my social media. And then I get on Google and I go to open a new tab, and Google will recommend me articles about myself.
Well, you love Mr. Beast and Kris Tyson.
Yeah.
And here's this thing about people hating you.
Please stop. I don't want to know about it.
Yeah. So you're just constantly being fed articles with headlines that are just blatantly wrong, right? They're lies.
And not only, it's like, it wasn't all hate and it wasn't all support. It was from both sides, but there was also like a lot of people just, you know, they don't really know how to talk about trans people. So instantly they're like, Kris Tyson comes out as a trans woman. Good for them. And I'm like,
even though you just said HRT,
yeah,
right?
I'm like, no, I didn't yet.
Yeah. Yet. Until today.
Yeah, until today with Anthony.
I mean, I feel like we should just take a moment on that. Like, how does that feel publicly saying in front of cameras that you are a woman?
For the longest time, to even say it to some of the closest friends, it would make me like my hands shake to say it. I would get so nervous. But now I can say I'm a woman. I'm happy to say I'm a woman. It's something that's honestly so freeing. And I think that is part of what the HRT did for me, was being able to accept myself and being able to look in the mirror and say, yes, you are a woman.
Every single person has something about themselves that they kind of want to be more of.
Yeah.
You know, and
feel a little insecure about.
Yeah, even if it is just.
I wanna be a little more less obese. Yeah, I get that, man. Everybody has like a little bit of some kind of an insecurity that's just keep following me, you fucking idiot. That's just looming over you. I totally understand that. Not to that degree, though.
Even if it's just I want to be a little bit more confident in myself.
Yeah.
Here you are in front of hundreds of millions of people who have been criticizing you for every single reason in the book, and you're focusing on the way that you feel when you are most true to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if your way to confidence is to wear a dress, wear a dress. If your way to confidence is to get so swole you look like a bodybuilder, do that.
Is that what you're talking about, Jimmy?
Yeah, Jimmy is getting really swole, isn't he?
Yeah, he is
What the fuck is Jimmy? Is Jimmy Mr. Beast?
pumping, man.
You see his Twitter
He
feed?
is jacked.
He is
Whoa!
jacked. Good there, man, out of nowhere until I get my hands on him.
Oh,
And like Kris affect him.
Watch out, the Kris.
It's funny, isn't the Kris effect where like he makes? Excuse me, I'm sorry, that was unintentional. Where she like people speculate that Kris, she makes people like more feminine or something. Isn't that the Kris effect? Is some like dumb bullshit, like weird, like obsessed meme?
Kris effect. Isn't that wild that people say there's the Kris effect, the Carl effect? Like one person can,
Or is that the
can
Carl effect? What is that?
change or like infect the other brains of the other friends.
I mean, I've always joked that there, and I hate that people will clip it, but there is a smidgen of truth to it. Because Carl came down to North Carolina, small town, and he had bright pink hair.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I was like, how do you have the confidence to like go to the grocery store and not feel like every single person is staring at you? And he's like, I don't care. And I was like, what?
What? You can not
What?
care what others think?
You can just not care.
I feel that because you want to know what? This is gonna be so cringe. But my wife and I were talking about this today. My wife and I have matching shirts when we got married. It's husband and wife, right? Duh. And so today my wife was wearing her wife's shirt, so I was like, oh, I want to wear my husband's shirt. We couldn't find my husband's shirt, so I wore another shirt my wife got me as like a joke. It just says, I heart my wife. I wear it on stream sometimes. And, you know, I just wore it throughout the day. I don't really care. Nobody made a comment, whatever. And then she was thinking, and she's like, you know, it's interesting that like some guys will feel self-conscious about that, about like, you know, wearing a shirt like that. And that's true. Like some guys, like it's generally considered, like even now people are like, oh, you're so cringe, Papa God, so cringe. For you to like not just have a shirt like that, because I love my wife. I'm actually, you know, and people make fun of that. That comes from I think older stereotypes that like you're not supposed to really like your wife or love your wife. It's always like a meme on TV, and I do though. I'm very fortunate in that capacity. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm very fortunate in that capacity where I love my wife a lot, and so like why am I going to be embarrassed by that? That sounds like a you problem that you're like coping, because you know you don't really love your wife. That seems like a you issue. Well, so.
Hair?
Right.
Since when? I didn't get the update.
You know, there is a little bit of truth to the idea that a friend can come into a circle and they can show you what confidence looks like.
Yeah, they can show you what
Well,
true
yeah, all friends have like an impact on different people. Can be good, can be bad. This isn't a bad impact, so.
confidence is, because for a while, like I was like, yeah, I guess I'm confident, but it was all fake. It wasn't all real. And then I saw somebody
Hey, fake it till you make it, baby.
come in and be themselves, and I was like, I want that. I want to be myself. And even though like I saw people make fun of Carl because of his hair, he would just shrug it off. I was like, I can do that. Maybe. Give it a couple of years.
You hear that, Carl? You inspired someone.
You did it.
You mentioned taking hormones, and you mentioned that it saved your life.
Yes. For so long, every day, I would go to bed and I would have dreams, vivid dreams I was a woman, like my whole life.
That's
And
wild.
I would wake up in the morning and it was just like getting ripped
Wake up
out of a
in the
reality that I
morning,
didn't want to
feel-
be taken out of.
So it was like the dream was.
That's crazy because I've had dreams before too, where I thought I was a thing, like maybe I had like a lot of money or something, and it always made me feel like, should I wake up like, damn, what am I doing? You know, I get that. I understand. I mean, obviously not to the same degree. But Jesus Christ, what are you guys fucking playing together? Holy fuck!
Was the
Oh,
reality.
these
Yeah,
three are just.
there was
okay.
times where I would just lay in bed all day and just sleep because it was more fun to do that, or more enjoyable to me to do that, because the real world, I didn't feel connected to it. I've really never felt connected to my body.
Interesting.
Until
That's like when my wife wakes up and she thought I had a dream that she thought I cheated on her or something. So she's like, "Oh, why'd you do that?" And she yells at me or she gets upset. I think the other day she had a dream. She was telling me about how she thought that I like left her for somebody else. It was a fucking weird dream, and she was upset like the whole day. Like dreams can really fuck you up, especially for women. Women are annoying about dreams. You know what I mean? It's just kind of funny, you know. Waiting
I
for the
started
play.
taking HRT, and like I was amazed. Like after 2-3 weeks, I just started having a mental clarity that it felt like a fog that had been around me just went away, and I could see things clearly. I could feel confident in who I was. I knew who I was finally, surely, truly, without a shadow of a doubt. And that is what really saved my life, because for the longest time, you know, like in 2017, 2018, I started gaining weight. I got really depressed because I pretty much thought that there was no way I was going to be able to transition
You
ever.
know what's crazy, by the way? I weighed myself today 346 before a fat dump. And so, as you guys know, I usually weigh about 350, and we've been working out these past 2 weeks. So I probably weighed a little less even after. It was a really big dump. So, you know, it's probably like a 5-pounder. No, it's probably like a half, maybe like a pounder. So my wife lost 2 pounds, I think, last week too. We've been doing all right. We've been really trying to motivate ourselves to stay going to like the gym. We're trying to eat better. We're not really tracking. You know, we're trying to exercise more. We're not really, we're specifically, well, which one of the gym is exercise? We're specifically worried about getting ourselves to the gym on the days that we planned out and doing our routines. That's like a big deal for us. We're just trying to get the pattern. We're not even trying to, like, you know, we're not trying to get there. You know what I mean? Like, we're just trying to get into the gym. Just develop the pattern. Because if we can develop the pattern, it becomes easier. We can move on to the next step, you know?
And I was just going to have to keep marching forward in a life
Yeah,
I
go
didn't want to
gym.
live. And I was just going to have to keep doing that until I couldn't do it anymore.
What was the internal battle like?
The thing I really felt hatred towards was myself for not understanding myself. Also, internalized transphobia just made me feel, you know, there's not a lot of trans people in general, but there's also not a lot of trans people in my area. So the only exposure I had to trans
That's weird because sometimes when I look at porn, it'll be like trans women in your area. I always click it, and then they just steal my credit card information. So, sad stuff. I know how you feel. Okay. You know what's interesting? A very long time ago, because I never actually like slept with a trans woman or anything, you know. But when I was younger, I went on a date with a trans woman, and it's so interesting because I remember talking to them about stuff, and I don't remember the specifics, but you know, you remember the feelings sometimes, right? If that makes sense. And I think I made that person uncomfortable without knowing. You know what I mean? Like it's an ignorance. I was in my like early 20s, so I was just like very new to it. It was cool. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like and my thought is like I kind of want to date this person to see how it goes. You know, which maybe is a selfish thought. I think it was like awkward. It was a little bit weird. You know, they didn't seem too into it, which is what it is, you know. But that's it. It's a little story of that.
people and trans issues were from, you know, the other end of the spectrum. And so I started to hate myself. I was like, oh, I'm
Started
pretending,
to?
I'm lying.
I've always hated
it took me so
myself.
many years of I ran away. I pretended it didn't exist. Multiple times I threw away every single pair of clothes I ever owned. I went to
Damn.
virgin therapy.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
You know at this point that's how you know you're a woman, when you're throwing away your clothes just so you can shop for more. That's how you know.
Like
I
you
gotta hit
really
level
did not
4
want to
first.
be what you felt at your core was your true self.
I thought it was a curse for all of my life, and it wasn't until
If
I started taking HRT that I was like,
turn
this is
back
not a curse. It's a blessing. Like,
blessing
I
in
can
disguise.
finally be
I can't.
myself.
Or did you have a
fucking
moment
go
when
with
you
this
first
guy
realized that the way that you identified with your gender was different than what was expected of you?
I was 6 years old. My sisters went to camp. My parents were in the living room. I told my parents that I was going to build a popsicle stick airplane in my room.
right
And then
now.
I went to my sister's room and went in their closet and grabbed as much stuff as I can. And I locked my door and I turned on Arthur. And it was the episode where there was ballerinas. And I just pretended to
That's
be
cool.
a ballerina and danced around my room. And from that moment on, I was like, I don't know what this is.
I used to pretend that I dated Misty from Pokemon. Of course, when it was age appropriate. You fucking weirdos. That was a long time ago. That shit's been around for a fucking long ass time, boy. Like, when did they make the first Pokemon? I feel like the first Pokemon movie, I was like fucking 10. I remember going and getting a Mew card. It was like an Egyptian Mew card. That's how much I remember. Crazy stuff. Huh? Bet you didn't know that. I was a weird kid, bro. I was such a fucking weird kid, man. I really look back and I'm like, my mother was a saint. Oh, my Lord. So fucking weird. You know what I mean?
But I know I need to hide it because I don't think the people. I don't remember exactly what made me hide it at such a young age, but I think it was just like, you know, growing up in that area, going to, you know, a very like very, very religious. Well,
Yeah, I feel that. You know, when I was younger too, I had like questions about like whether I was gay or straight or something. You know what I mean? I feel like it's somewhat normal to do stuff like that. To have these kind of questions. I'm not gonna be able to beat this. Oh wait, actually I might be able to. No, I'm not gonna be able to. I've had questions like that. You know, I think that everybody goes through those phases when you're young of like, oh, do I like guys? And I didn't. Now I look at femboy porn. So, well, okay, it's a little oversharing, but let's. But I would have to be a very feminine guy. But I feel like, you know, and I was always like a little anxious. You know, you get through that phase because like part of it is like you don't want to be gay. I didn't want to be gay. Because if you're gay, that means that something was wrong with you. That's how I thought back then. Not necessarily, because my mom and like a lot of my family were very open, but it was like this idea that you still kind of consider like, oh man, you know, it's rough. And I tried to look at dudes fucking, and it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. So that was part of it. You know what I mean? It was, I guess, there was a little bit of that internalized transphobia. But then I remember I was watching this. I was playing a game when I was younger. I gotta stop. This is not good. I was playing this game. It's called I should just not say this, but I'm gonna say it's so funny. It's called HDH Studios. It was like a if you know, you know. And there was a room in the game. You know, it's a game where you walked around a hotel and you kind of talk. You know, you talk to animals, right? And so and one of those. In one of those rooms, there was a sign on a poster, and it said something along the lines of like "chicks with dicks, the best of both worlds." I think it was a secret room, and that's when I started looking at trans porn. What the fuck is wrong with me, dude? I need to stop blabbering. I need to stop yapping. You need to stop blabbering over here, dude. Jesus Christ. I really do overshare too much. But that's my story. Yeah.
church is a
That's my
religious, but
story.
this one was extra religious.
Super
religious.
Religious XXL?
Yeah, it was the premium. And because, like, the biggest thing is, for me, I was such
Don't
a forward-facing
speak.
person
I
that any kind of
know
changes
it's
were
what
instantly
you're
going to drum up questions. And so, like, for me, that's why I was so glad that even though I had, during this time when I put out that I was on HRT, I was very sure I was a trans woman. I was not ready to come publicly out yet. So I was very happy that, like, people were encouraged.
Listen, by the way, okay, they were furries. They weren't actual animals, okay? Listen, I don't care. When I was younger, I looked at a little bit of furries, you know, but they're people with a horse head, bro. It's not my fucking fault. All right? The internet groomed me. All right? I was a big enjoyer of art when I was younger, okay? That's all it is. I'm an art enjoyer. Called me artistic when I was younger. Doctor told me that.
Pushing me into the gender, into
Don't be a
gender fluid, because
dumpster
that
today.
is what I identified as a while. And that gave me that ability to dress more feminine and people not be like, are you a girl? Or, what's your gender? What's your gender?
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like old Kris is dead?
Dead.
Dead,
Gone.
dead, buried, hatchet?
Shut the fuck up, dude. Stop criticizing me in the chat.
All of it?
All of it gone.
And you still have the reminders through the videos that will be permanently online for the rest of eternity.
That's what I say to people who are like, but I miss the old Kris and I looked up to you. Hey,
Whoa.
go watch the videos. They'll be there forever.
Was it more?
I mean, like, why not just still look up to them just like differently? I mean, they're living their truth. I think that there's something admirable about that, like living, you know, their truth. They're not hurting anybody by being trans. Like, oh, I used to look up to you. Why don't you anymore? Like, maybe it's because they're a young man and they don't look up to her because she's not a man anymore. And I understand that as a man. You know, I get that on fundamentally. Oh, come on, bro. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? But, you know.
more difficult for you to come out to yourself or to others?
Myself. Far more.
Healer
Once
sucks.
I came out to myself, I came out to myself with my therapist. And it took like 3 therapy sessions where I was like, I've known this for a long time. I'm pretty sure. And then I was, you know, I know and then I was like, I am a woman. And it was hard for me to say that because I was so scared of saying I am a woman and then instantly hearing, no, you're not. Because
I feel
in
that.
my head, I fought
feel
with
the
that
same way. I'm not
every
gonna
day.
That's the conversation you were having with yourself.
That, there was a voice in the back of my head that just hated me. Everything I did hated me. And it wasn't until like I started accepting myself and being kind to others and like just listening to what my body wanted. Like that's when that voice started going away. Started taking HRT. Haven't heard from that voice in a very long time.
Where do you think that part of you has gone?
I hope it's locked away.
Do you think it's disappeared
Oh, yeah.
entirely?
That person, that little piece of me.
You must feel like you have so much more like access to your whole self without that part of you shutting you down constantly.
I literally had people within the first like couple of months of like me coming out to like private like friends and like my therapist starting HRT, they were like, you've just been talking so much more and you just seem so much more present in the conversation.
That's
and
cool.
I was noticing that myself
Jesus
too,
Christ.
because
Oh
like
my
I would
God.
get done with conversations and be like, why's my jaw hurt so bad?
Oh, I was talking and smiling?
I was talking.
Whoa, why is your jaw hurt? Sounds like you're having some fun combos.
I haven't done that in a while.
I mean, even now, I feel like people who have watched you for a long time will see that change in you wanting to express your thoughts, wanting to express your emotions.
It doesn't matter now if I want to express them or not. They just freely
It's weird when they look at the camera to me. It's like too personal.
come out of me because I don't suppress them anymore. And that is what's truly the best part of it, is that I can just like, what comes out of my mouth is me now. And it's nobody else influencing me. It's nobody telling me I have to be this person. It's me coming out.
Do you remember the first time that you looked at yourself and you were like, that is me, I'm not ashamed of that anymore?
I did. I was
We were
actually
4 levels
heading
behind, baby.
to the studio to go film, and I was driving my car and I had something in my eye and I pulled down my mirror and I just looked at myself, and for the first time it like hit me that I was like, I'm looking like myself, and I just started crying.
And then I hit a car. Because, you know, you can't be doing that. You can't be looking at yourself while you're driving. You silly ghost. What are you doing there, huh?
Driving. I had to pull over.
Yeah, you're like, this looks like how I feel,
Yeah.
how I see myself in my dreams.
Yeah, and I've had so many moments leading up to that. Like even when I went dress shopping today, I accidentally cried a little bit because I put on this dress and I was like, oh my God, I love this.
I feel like, you know, whether anyone watching is trans or not, like it's such a relatable feeling to want to be a truer version of yourself and
Sure,
to run
yeah,
away from
I agree
that
with
for a certain amount of time for any reason.
Yeah.
Sure
How does it
thing.
feel, you know, like you're constantly finding all these things that make you feel more and more true to yourself.
I've always been myself. I'm now taking.
Why are you guys fighting?
I'm now
We're
taking
4 levels
steps to
behind,
make sure
idiots.
I'm the like best and happiest version. Because there was a point in my life where, and a lot of people thought that was the best version of me because that's the only thing they had ever seen, Kris from MrBeast. But I was very unhappy and I was tired and I was miserable. And now I'm like, I wake up every day and I'm like, what are we doing today?
Wake
I
up
wake up
in
at
the
7:30.
morning
I used to wake up at
feeling like
11:30
P.
every
Diddle.
single day.
Do you wake up with excitement?
I wake up with excitement. I'm like, what are we doing today? What's going on?
Like you get to live life
Yeah,
now.
another day of being trans. That for me, it's like the best thing.
Why do you think the news of you taking HRT and you looking more feminine, why do you think it went so viral?
Because it's a really hot button issue right now. There's a lot of people putting in their 2 cents about it. And then I think what really like made a lot of people focus on it was
I think it's a lot of timing thing. I mean, I think a big part of it is that, like, again, like there's this conservative outrage over gay and trans people. It's just insane, you know? And so it puts an issue that I feel like most people don't really necessarily care that much about which is a good and a bad thing. Like most conservatives, I don't think really give a fuck about like the tenth of like of an nth of a percent of a population of people who are fucking have gender dysphoria. Like I don't really think they care. It's not a major issue that's like fucking impacting the middle class family every day. But where people are being told to focus on that. It's the only thing in your fucking. They'd be like, it's in your face all the time. It's like, yeah, because you won't shut the fuck up about it. It wouldn't be in your face if conservatives would shut the fuck up about trans shit. You know, but that's all that there is. There's nothing else. So.
Was that I'm just like,
why engage?
I'm just living my
dude?
life. I'm not saying anything or doing anything. I'm just, hey, I'm on HRT. I'm a lot happier now. And I think that, in my opinion, a lot of people were like, no, we can't have somebody this successful and this like happy being on HRT. It's bad optics. So, I mean, if that's the reason, maybe it was just.
I think for like the conservative content creators like Matt Walsh, it was more about like, look at this and just criticizing them, you know.
General transphobia. Maybe they just don't like me. Maybe they're not Kris fans. They might be big Nolan fans.
So you're not taking it too personally though?
No, I know that at the end of the day, like even the people that are writing these like crazy articles about me are probably just, you know, normal people that are going home to see their wife and kids or whatever. They're doing their jobs. I'm doing my job. But that's why I wanted to come to your show, to be able to get a hold of my narrative again.
Right, because you lost control of that narrative.
Complete control.
Everyone had an opinion that had nothing to do with what your actual thoughts were.
I know. Apparently I sued people. I did it.
Where did that come from?
Somebody made a joke.
Good for her, but weird to know that she considers what Kris was to be gone. That's such a culture shock to be around. Let's not walk around the conversation. I feel like that makes sense to me though. Because I think I get what you mean. What you're saying is that like you are almost like upset that she considers her old self to be dead. And I don't think it's anything. Well, it is purely personal. I don't think it's like, oh, I hated the content or anything. It's more about just, it's probably not a positive thought to think about herself when she was a guy, right? Assuming that she identified as a guy at that point. That's what I mean, right? And so it's more just like, yeah, it's just, that's not me to me. And I don't like thinking about it because it's upsetting. I think that's fine. I don't think it invalidates the work if you enjoyed it. It's just more of a personal thing. Like that kind of, it's just kind of, you know, it is what it is, you know? It is what it is, brother.
And they were like, they faked the DM and they were like, Kris is suing me. And then I quote tweeted it and I was like, you better be ready. This is my lawyer. And it was a picture of Jimmy with like sideways sunglasses. And people took that as serious.
There's real life consequences to false things being made up about you.
Yeah.
Then you have people making YouTube videos saying that your decision to be yourself and to openly be yourself is destroying MrBeast. And
yeah, the SunnyV2 video. That's what they're talking about. That video is unhinged, to be honest with you. It was just unhinged. It was just like, it was just babbling on, talking about all this like just ridiculous shit. Like, yeah, oh, you're gonna be a failure, but it's like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, SunnyV2 has really weird perspectives on the world that are so like weirdly unemotional in the worst way. Like, it's not like, oh, they're positively, they'll just shit on people that make shit changes. Like, Ninja's a terrible person because he's not like edgy anymore and he's a loser and shit. It's like, what the fuck is, like, people just get older and change. Yeah, SunnyV2 is the greatest YouTuber of all time. You're right, Carl. I love you. It's just so weird. It's like kind of like bizarre behavior to be so bizarrely hyper focused. Dream's career's over because he put his face off. Who cares? Like, it's weird that there's no human aspect. Like, hey, these rich people are changing. They're gonna ruin their career. Who cares if they did? Your career is gonna fall off at some point regardless, right? So, you know, they're trying to live their truth. It's not that weird.
It's gonna mess up the business, and you should have thought about that.
I should have thought about that. That's all.
How dare you ruin the business by being your true self?
How dare you?
That's what I'm saying.
It was
bro.
kind of weird to see people be like, "Oh, now Jimmy's put in between a rock and a hard place where he obviously doesn't want to support Kris, but the left would be so mad if he didn't." And I'm like, all these speculation, all these crazy things. I told Jimmy,
we have to believe that Mr. Beast is transphobic. That's the only thing that keeps me watching. Mr. Beast, please, you have to stay transphobic. Like, that's it's so again, it's just weird. Like that it's just so weird. You know, it's bizarre. It has it's interesting how politicized this topic has become. I understand some of it. I get the conversation around you know, wanting to make sure young people who are transitioning, I get the uncomfortableness of that, right? I'm just gonna say that. I get that. But the conversation it's weird to become so political. Like, saying overall that you support or trans people shouldn't be like a huge fucking political issue. It's so bizarre, to be honest with you. But whatever, I guess.
like 7 years ago, I walked out of my bedroom. It was late. I walked out and it was kind of one of those, oop, And then he was like, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to talk
Wait,
about
what was it that gave it
I
away?
was fully dressed up.
Oh, so you were dressing up as a woman long before.
That's kind of funny. That's kind of funny.
We lived. I've been dressing up as a woman since I was like 6 years old.
Damn.
I guess dressing up as a girl. Now I dress up as a woman.
Yes, but you walked
fair
out.
enough.
Jimmy sees you.
Yes.
Dressed up as a woman.
Yes.
Did he go bazunga, bazinga, and his eyes pop out of his head? Okay.
And he goes, we can talk about this if you want. And I was like, no. And we
did
didn't
you turn
talk
around
about
and go into your room?
I did. And we didn't talk about it. Jimmy is really good about if you don't want him to bring something up, he'll never mention it ever again. But
cool.
it was about 3 years ago. We were all hanging out and we were having a good time. You know, on the channel, we like to say we're having some apple juice, you know, just drinking some good
Just
apple
drinking
juice.
some apple juice.
And
I think my favorite thing was that MrBeast and all of them did like a fucking 10-hour, or they did like a really long, I don't think it was 10 hours, that's preposterous that I even said that. I think that they did like a really long stream. And they were opening like 1,000 or something pieces of fan mail. And people are like, wow, they look so exhausted being around Kris, you know, it's because they're trans now. And I think really all it was is that they were tired from opening mail. And people tried to make it seem like this huge thing, as if it had anything to do with being trans. But I think it was just that.
there was one moment I was sitting around all the guys and I had just been really like thinking all that day about like my gender and everything. And combined with the apple juice, I just blurted out to them, I don't want to be a man anymore.
Whoa.
Out of nowhere in front of all of them, and then started like crying. And the support I got from them in that moment was like, that's when I knew I was like, okay, like I have my friends back, everybody else. Like that's all I need.
You had the support from your core group.
Yeah, they're really like my family.
Do you remember just like what it felt like to have that out there?
To feel like I'm lying to like my best friends, we know everything about each other. Like, and I'm like, this is a huge part of me and I want to tell them, but I'm even so scared to tell them. Like, even when I used to try to form the words, I would just lock up and couldn't talk about it.
I feel
because I was
that.
so terrified to like out myself.
Yeah, because there's so many things that you consider to be negative that would come out of that.
Yeah. And now I realize that was all internalized transphobia. My friends would have accepted me. I probably could have gotten through the process a little faster.
Yeah.
But everybody grows at their own pace and becomes themselves when they do.
I mean, you see all these comments on the internet, and no matter how many positive ones that are there,
They'll just fly by.
The positive
Positives
ones
don't exist.
But then the negative ones, I think it's because there's a little bit of fear attached to the implications or what else they might be thinking. Like those things sit with you. And
Well, yeah, I mean, in general, like hate comments sit more with people overall than like positive comments. You know, you kind of focus on those. Nobody wants to get hate, and on the internet, it doesn't matter what it is. Hate becomes very disproportionate, I think, is one of like the really interesting things. People don't really know how to be mature enough to have disagreements on the internet. And it's like a sad thing, you know. I understand disagreements, but people, they don't have the, you know, they don't have like the time to engage with what you're saying at all. They'll just kind of form an opinion about somebody instantaneously based off what they think you said, and they won't do any of like their own like looking at it at all. It happens to like everybody fundamentally. Like obviously this is much more serious than anything else, but that's like a big part of the internet, man. It's crazy.
you accidentally find thousands, or in your case, because you have hundreds of millions of people watching and judging and commenting on every single thing that you do, you're likely to see tens of thousands of comments.
Yeah, and sometimes the algorithm can just be a butt and just send you all the hates in one.
You were getting a lot of hate for counting to 100K. Bro, that was wild because I watched some of your stream when you were doing that. It's fucking crazy. But there was one dude who was like having a meltdown in your stream, Krello, because they're like, can you do giveaways? They wanted you to do a giveaway so bad. And like, not for nothing, but that's the most entitled shit I've ever seen. Like I don't think I've ever had anybody come in and demand to do giveaway. They're like, we do so much work for you. Or some dumb shit like that. Do a giveaway. And it's like, what are you talking about? What work does the fan, do they, like, I appreciate fans who watch content, of course, but like, what fucking work are you talking about? Like, if it's work to watch my content, don't watch my fucking content, you weirdo. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, why would you, if you don't enjoy it, why are you just watching? It's fucking bizarre. And so some people, man, are fucking crazy. You know, they're crazy. I was just like, gee, and he spammed it. That's a weird sense of entitlement. It's fucking, it was bazonkers.
Fell swoop. But also, it's like, you have to realize that when people are sending those messages, I mean,
Can we do a giveaway? Maybe I will do a giveaway on, maybe I'll do a giveaway on the other channel with my wife. we'll think about it. You know, that would be different. There's a lot of lounge size my wife doesn't like anyway.
A crappy kid on the
watching
internet.
me as a job.
I used
True.
to be a mean kid. People say those things because they're also struggling with things. My whole life I was struggling with my identity, who I was.
I was a mean kid because my
hated
dad
myself.
wasn't there for me.
Like,
It's probably true.
So every
actually.
time I see one of those like
Based?
hate comments or like people saying mean things in my DMs, I'm like, I know that's probably somebody who's going through something, and it doesn't really bother me. I used to see people living the life I wanted to live, and I would get jealous and angry at them, and like they get to live this life and they get to be celebrated, and you know, like obviously you don't see the hate they get, but it's like they're not getting any hate and all this kind of stuff, and you get into that mindset, but then you realize, oh, that's just me, just like pointing all that back at myself and using somebody else as a target.
Do you feel like after coming out and feeling like you can actually be your truest identity, in addition to not having to hide something about yourself, do you feel like you're more aware and present? Like, do you feel like instead of living like through with tunnel vision because you're blocking out all of the shit that's in your brain, do you feel like now you have access to more of you?
I do. I post way too much on the internet because I'm just so excited to authentically be myself and be like, this is me. Hey, everybody. The person you knew for a long time that was like a facade, a fake version of me. This is the real me. I'm still the same person. I just look a little different.
I mean, yeah, you're caring more about things, it seems.
Yeah.
You're caring about your fashion, your now makeup, your hair, you know, you're caring about your health, it seems. Like you just seem healthier.
And let's be real, men do not care about their hair or fashion. I mean, it's a real talk, all right? It's just real talk. It's fucking real, man. I don't give a goddamn, you know? I don't give a shit. Sometimes I dress up nice, though. It's a good thing that, like, men don't have to do a lot of work to look nice, you know what I mean? Sometimes I gotta throw a t-shirt on, and my wife's like, wow, you look so good. And I'm like, you know, baby. To her, I look good, you know, obviously not to the average person. I understand that, but...
You're all around.
Yeah. I'm drinking a lot more water, too.
Oh, okay, that'll do it.
That's everything. That's the secret.
True, my wife needs to hear that. Drink more water.
Oh, and then I will poop more than once every 6 days?
Oh, you should definitely be doing that more.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, good to know.
Bro, my wife was constipated the other day. I told her you don't drink enough water. You know, she was constipated so bad. She's like, to the point where she might want to go to the hospital. That's crazy. I was like, drink more water, bitch. What the fuck are you doing? She's like, I drink a lot of water. It says it doesn't matter how much you drink. It's how much you drink compared to like what your body needs. You know what I mean? It's like, I drink a bottle of water today. It's like, bro, you know, we gotta drink more than that. Especially, you know, if we have a high diet of salt. You gotta drink more water and shit, bro. You know, you gotta be peeing every 2 hours or you're not drinking enough water. She's like, why would it happen now, though? It's because it's been hot as fuck, dude. We've been sweating our balls off. Sweating our bazingas off, you know? That's what I'm saying, doggy. Drink more water.
So here's a really quick fun fact. Did you know that hydrating
Hey, what's up,
is
hippie? Username?
super important, even if you're not running a marathon? And if that's your first time hearing that, I need to have just a really quick word with the American education system. Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, and now it is completely sugar-free. And yes, it does still hydrate you 2 times faster than water alone. I've seen many people commenting things on these videos, saying things like, Anthony, interviewing people for 8 hours a day and sitting on your ass, talking to them for such a long time. That feels like it's an athletic endeavor. I agree with them. It definitely is, because that is 100% fact. I gotta say my favorite flavor is their white peach flavor, with green grape being a very, very close second. Real people, real flavor, real hydrating, now sugar-free. Grab your Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier sugar-free in bulk nationwide at Costco, or get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code Padilla at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you use promo code Padilla at liquidiv.com. This episode is also sponsored by BetterHelp. Oftentimes in life, we're faced with tough decisions and the path forward isn't always clear. While it may be helpful talking with your friends, a therapist's clinical awareness can offer grounded insight and guidance. So whether you're dealing with decisions around your career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. And as many of you may know by now, I've been a huge proponent of therapy since I started going about 6 years ago, which has been hugely helpful for me in my own struggles with anxiety and depression. So if you've been thinking about starting...
Yeah, I mean, therapy's cool, man. Like, it helped me out a lot when I was younger, especially. You know, I had some problems. I was like a behavioral kid with ADHD. One of the interesting thing, though, is like sometimes... Like, therapy is it... Bro, you shitting me right now? Therapy can be a little tricky. Only in the sense that, like, it's so weird. You know, if you're not honest with your therapist, that can really lead to like a very negative outcome in general, which is true. If you're not honest with your therapist, you know, if you're okay, so the way therapy works obviously is you talk to a person and then they kind of will interpret your information that you give them in a way that like makes sense to them. So usually you'll go to a therapist for a particular thing and they'll tell you like, oh, here's like your issue, your problem. Although they'll figure it out on the first day, but they won't tell you.
Zed King super chatted $5. Do you think trans people realize this?
they try to get you to come to the realization. And so if you're not
Zed
honest,
King super chatted $5. Do you think trans people realize?
okay, I'm just trying to hold on. Sorry. I'm gonna look at this again. And so if you're not giving them positive information or honest information, you're not going to get positive feedback back from them. So it's something to keep in mind. You have to be honest. All right. Now I want to play it and it won't play.
Zed King super chatted $5. Do you think trans people realize their sexuality before their gender identity, or realize gender first then go through that experience?
I have no idea. I guess it depends on the person. I imagine like when you're younger, you'll probably figure out what you're... I don't know. Maybe. I really have no idea. Probably different for each person. I have no idea, honestly. I don't think I can give you like an answer to that question. You know, so...
Therapy, BetterHelp might be perfect for you. It's 100%.
Because I feel like, I mean, even I was struggling with it when I was like an adolescent, or like, you know, I don't know, like my teens, like early teens, was when I was thinking about it. So, fuck, you know, I don't know. Maybe they'll figure that out before. I mean, Kris said they were wearing fucking dresses since 6 years old or something. So, you know, maybe there's something to that. Maybe that's what it is, something there.
% online. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional cost. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Padilla to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Padilla.
Thank you for spelling help.
You changed the spelling of your name?
Yeah.
From Kris CH
With
to
a
Kris
CH.
to K?
Why?
So just
That's
to
interesting.
feel a little bit more feminine about it?
I actually have always liked how it looked with a K.
It is
And
cooler.
Apparently, I didn't know this, and I'm probably going to crack a bunch of eggs in the audience.
Oh.
But if you have an online persona where you present as a different name and present as a female, that's just being trans online. You've been out as trans online. Like,
Wait, in what way?
like in the same way of like you've kind of came out. You haven't come out officially, but you came out in a space to where it was safe. People don't know who you actually are.
So you're like anonymously,
Yeah, you're kind of anonymously coming out as trans.
So is the Kris with a K an online only
Yes.
name?
Like
Do you have
you.
a separate name that you're using that is more feminine in your
Yes.
private life?
I have a name that is my official name. I'm not like sheltering it. It's like not private, locked
Oh, interesting. So what is it, a transitional period for their name?
Yeah,
way.
but you're not making a huge announcement
Not
about
making
it?
a huge announcement about it. It's just for like
Interesting.
friends and family
BetterHelp.
and stuff like that. But Kris, K-R-I-S, is what you can call me on the internet.
Are you gonna get angry when people use CH?
It's gonna be Kris. What does he think? It's like Kristen, like something small. Listen, I'm a firm believer that your parents should pick your name when you're trans. You know, they got to pick it the first place. They should be able to pick it again. You know what I mean? I don't think that's too bad. If my kid's trans, like I'm picking your name, person. You know, I don't know if they're gonna be a boy or girl, so I gotta say that. I'm picking your damn name. You know, I picked it the first time. It takes forever. It's like creating a goddamn character in World of Warcraft. You know what I mean? It's not easy to come up with a name. I'm gonna sit here and spend like 6 months coming up with your damn name. You're gonna let me come up with a new one. Until then, when people ask your name, you're gonna say not available. All right, that's my kid. And because you know a lot of trans people, what do they name themselves? Crazy stuff sometimes. We know this, like moonshine applesauce. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, let me just come up with a nice regular name. You know, this regular fucking name. We'll all be happy. That's all I'm saying.
I don't really care. I mean, you can. It'll be wrong. So.
Right. Are you gonna feel like people are dead naming you? As they
No,
say?
I mean, like in a way, they're going to like try to use it to dead name me. But number one, I can't be audibly dead named, so that's pretty
True.
cool. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty big clutch. Number two, I mean, like I said, I
But
have
it's
no
like
shame
Kris, like with the
with
really
like,
emphasize
who
that
I
H.
was. I think it's
That's a
so
dead
cool
name.
and interesting that it's like I was Kris with a CH, and then I put that to rest, and now I can finally be Kris with a K.
You have a permanent archive
Cool.
of who you were in your
Literally.
transitional period and who you are now.
Literally, it's kind of like the MrBeast channel was accidentally like my trans timeline.
It was a documentary about the transition,
You
right?
didn't know it. I
Yeah.
was using him.
So you've changed the way you present, you've changed the name and the things that you prefer
Yep.
people to call you, you've changed your pronouns.
Yeah.
Have you changed your voice? Because I know that that's something that trans people also work toward.
I am working on it.
I wonder how. Like, there is actually like unironic voice trainings for people who are trans and they want, you know. But then there's also like vocal surgeries and whatnot. Imagine you just got like imagine you got like a voice box surgery and you're just like, I don't like this anymore. You know, can you go back? Can you detransition your vocals? I don't know. Is that possible? That'd be fucking crazy, man. I don't know.
So currently, I'm working with the Seattle Voice Labs. It's a Discord server
Cool.
where
Interesting.
they offer free lessons, they offer paid lessons, but Claire, she is incredible. She's been teaching me, and she really pushed me to do a voice.
Like today? Yeah. She wanted you to do it.
She thinks I'm ready to do like Do a sentence to give it a little sneak peek.
I can do a little voice for you. I'm about to come. I don't know. That shouldn't be funny to me, but I'm a child.
I could feel like myself by like presenting the way I wanted to, growing my hair out.
Okay.
But I would look back when because I'm a YouTuber, I get recorded a lot. I would look back and I would be like, that's me. And then my voice, I would open my mouth and I'd be like, that's not me.
Do you want to say a sentence or do you want to talk us through the different types of things that go into the voice?
I'm gonna say a sentence, but I'll kind of also show you like the process I have to do.
Yeah, I think this will be the first time many people watching this will
hear
have
it.
seen the thought process behind it.
So I'm in a newer stage. I've only been going for a little bit, so it's easier for me to find that space, that feminine voice, by doing a warm up. It sounds goofy. Whenever I do it at home, I make sure all my doors are locked.
Oh, I can do goofy.
So now you can do it on
So now
camera?
I'm gonna do it on camera.
Now
for
there's millions of
everybody.
people watching.
I know my voice instructor encouraged me.
Power
It won't
play.
sound perfect. It probably will get picked on a little bit, but that's
all
kind
right.
of what I like doing, is showing people the the rawness of it. You ready for the voice?
I'm ready.
Time
You are.
girl.
Oh gosh, we might have to do a couple of takes.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right,
Among Us.
all right.
Say that.
Here goes.
Sure.
Sorry, it's just a
Hey
sound.
Anthony, congratulations on buying Smosh.
Thank
that
you.
good?
That was
Okay,
good.
that's
Thank you.
interesting.
The most interesting part about seeing that is
That's interesting.
it felt like there was like a
Cool.
sparkle in your eye. Something
Yeah.
about it was like I could see this feeling of you feeling
All
like
right, relax, Anthony. There wasn't a sparkle in her eye, but she's working on. That's cool. I think it's cool that she's doing that. You know, I would just use your other voice, but hey, that's just me. You know what I mean? Whatever.
yourself.
Yeah, and I really like showing the process of like how I get to there, because like I think for a lot of people, they don't want people to hear that process, and that's completely understandable. It's a very vulnerable space.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work to even like get to
me
yourself
may
to the
my
point where you can do that
me may
sometimes
my
without
me
feeling
may
like,
my
oh my god, like I don't want
Here we
anybody to hear me.
go.
It'll never
that.
sound right. But I want people to hear that, because it's like that shows you that it's like people will say, oh, you're faking your voice. No, I just slid my voice into the right place. Basically, it's like
Okay, sure.
as I get better with it, I won't have to basically push my voice into that place I want it to be.
You're training to get to the point where it feels natural.
It's a muscle.
It's kind of like a laugh. Yeah, I don't know if people know this, but I feel like you can control what kind of laugh you have. You know, dude, you better stop fucking with me, bro. I want to go goblin mode. But you can kind of control like how your laugh sounds. You know what I mean? I feel like, have you ever? I don't know. Maybe this is just me, but have you ever been in a situation where you want to like laugh about something, and then like bro, come on, and you just kind of, I don't know, like your laugh changes. You don't even realize it. It's like weird. At least I have that. I've had that. Oh my god, just fucking die, dude. I've had that issue before. It's just kind of like a weird experience.
So, and like every muscle, the more you work it, the more you train it, it's gonna break
Oh,
down,
Missy
build
Elliott
back
said
up,
that.
get stronger, and
Is
it's
it
gonna
worth
become
it?
muscle
Let
memory
me
to do
work
those things.
it.
Right. What are you looking forward to most now that you have fully come out as your truest identity? You feel confident in yourself. What's next, and what are you looking forward to?
I just
It
want to be with
really
you.
feels like for the first time, like
And
I can do anything
now
now. I
that
can
you're
be who I
gone,
want to be. Like
I just want to
can
be with
create
you.
a channel if I want to.
That'd be
I can
cool.
write a book if I want to.
Whoa.
I can maybe produce a film if I want to.
Ooh.
Are these hints?
I don't know. Maybe. No. But maybe in the future.
But you really do have endless
I wouldn't write a book.
possibilities.
I'd have somebody
because
write
I'm
my book
finally
for
able
me,
to be
a ghostwriter.
myself, and that spills out into other areas in my life. So it's not that I'm just authentically trans now. I'm authentically Kris in every single way.
Ah, that's going to be the name of the book. Authentically Kris. Somebody was called. Hey guys, like my voice. Authentically Kris. I've been really working on my voice. Hey guys, it's me. Everybody loves Kris. Authentically Kris. Chan. Hey, don't do that to your mother, you know?
my feelings. I'm able to talk about what I want. So I feel like the future's kind of whatever I want it to be right now.
Do you feel more creatively driven now?
I do. I'm really excited. I've never felt the motivation to get in front of cameras like I do now.
Congratulations on everything.
Whoa, I didn't
and
down
think
one
that your
shot.
story
The
is
fuck?
incredibly inspiring, and
Oh,
I
shit.
think you're going to change a lot of people's lives just by authentically being yourself in the face of hundreds of millions of opinions and thoughts.
Yeah, well, thank you, Anthony, and thank you for using your channel to give queer and trans people a safe place to talk about
Pretty
us
based.
and who we are, and just let us be ourselves.
Cool.
There's a lot of traditionally
more.
more feminine ways to speak. People used to tell me I did that a lot, and I got self-conscious about it, and I stopped.
Stop being yourself.
Stop it. Talk
Be
like a man.
more like men are.
Men talk
Yes.
straight.
Men talk straight. Men talk slow, men talk angry, or
It's a weird end of this video, but okay.
men talk okay.
Yeah.
No,
Those
that
are-
was even too feminine.
Yeah, that was a little bit too feminine.
Yeah, that
you were
was.
showing too much emotion.
Damn it.
Let's get out.
The only emotion you're allowed to show is anger.
Anger. That's the only emotion.
True.
And
Based.
fear.
And
Based,
fear.
based,
No,
based,
real men
based.
don't get
That's
scared.
true. Yeah, real men.
Real men punch wall and break.
Yeah, I
fist.
got Kris Tyson. Yes, Slay Queen. All right, cool video.